What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.
What's up, Fantasy Points? We are back for the final DFS cage match of the NFL season. It has been a long and fun season. If you're not familiar with how this goes, there are three of us on the screen. The three of us are going to be drafting teams against each other for a three-man competition just against each other on DraftKings. We're going to be staying under the salary limit, all of that. It's going to be a snake draft, and we're going to be playing for charity. We'll go over those charities in a minute, but it's always me, and it's always Jake Tribbey. This week, we brought in a very special guest for the final cage match of the season, and we brought him in, Scott Barrett, not just because he is my friend. I think he's my friend. He will deny it, but I consider him a friend. I didn't bring him in for that reason. I didn't bring him in because he's the CEO of Fantasy Points, a very sharp mind. I brought him in for one reason, and that's so that we can troll Jake together endlessly, because Jake has done this show every week of the season. 16 weeks Jake has done this show already, and he has one win to show for it on the season. Scott Barrett has done the show once so far. He also has one win on the season. So who can get to 2 wins first? Of course, I'm going to try to stop them both, but it'd be kind of funny if Scott gets to 2 wins before Jake. Scott, I'm going to let you weigh in first. How confident are you that you're going to beat Jake this week?
Well, I've done zero research, and this is a slate where you need to do a lot of research from a DFS perspective, tournament perspective. There is a huge edge. Competition is generally pretty weak, but there is a huge injection of variance, different motivations for players and teams. But I mean, I'm up against Jake and Neil. Like, do I need to try? Do I need to do research?
Wow.
So, but it's funny, on Outside the Box, Neil, we talked about colluding, like, you know, how like the lawsuits about 3-man collusion. Do we want to collude against Jake in this one?
I mean, kind of. It'd be difficult to do so in this format because we can't just play the nuts. We have to like draft against each other. So it's a little bit tougher to collude against Jake.
How do they collude? I'm curious. It's you, one goes all in on like the sexiest game to stack, and then the other just fades that and plays the best plays.
I think it's just one plays like the optimal lineup, the other plays like two players. I don't totally understand the way that works. That's always been one that sort of confounds me, but it like they play in a way where they both play like 2 of the best lineups, but they pivot off each other. And then if so then the third person can either dupe them and like lose EV that way, or they have to play like further off the optimal, I think is kind of how it works. But I'm a little bit hazy on the actual process of how they do that. I've talked about it before with Jordan Cooper, but I forget exactly how they do the cheating there, the colluding there. Before I bring it to Jake, Scott, I just got to ask, how was your New Year's Eve? How was your 2025 going so far?
It was great. New Year's resolution, no nicotine. And Jake, how do you think I did with that?
Probably pretty bad.
Did with that,
yeah,
he says.
Yeah, so
it is.
Maybe the new year doesn't start until after the Super Bowl. That's how.
Okay,
how
all right, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Jake.
Every year, about 6 weeks after the Super Bowl, Scott will DM me and say, "I'm trying to quit nicotine and caffeine, and I can't think at all, and I need to start writing, my draft articles." So I don't think I'm going to make it.
Yeah, that's
that DM
big
probably
ask.
4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Probably like every other day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm quitting nicotine again. And then you'll get a message from me and I'm in like amazing spirits. And I'm just like, hey, check out this super dank stat or blurb I wrote. And you're like, wow, that's great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm back on nicotine, baby.
That's well, I mean, if it makes you happy, then I don't know. It's tough to quit something that's going to make you happy.
Well, yeah. Okay. I'm not going to get into that. That's a little oversharing.
All right. Fair enough. Jake, you are, of course, competing with Scott for second win of the year. How do you feel about your odds today?
I feel pretty good. I'd like to say I have, probably a 33% chance to win, but historical data doesn't quite seem to back that up. So who's to say? But it'll certainly be a fun one. And yeah, hopefully I can end the year with a win and not get embarrassed by my boss. That's pretty rough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro embarrassing Jake. Man, we just for people in the NBA streets, Josh Gillum in chat just informed me that the Knicks just updated their starting lineup. So the player that I have in 95% of my NBA lineups is no longer in the starting lineup. They just decided to go with the other guy instead. So that is pretty brutal.
Can you
for
pivot
those
really
of us
quick?
playing. No, it's after lock. The game locked
Oh.
at 6:30, so 7:30 Eastern. So yeah, I am SOL on that front. But hopefully McBride comes in, plays 25 off the bench. I guess I don't know. All right. Well, oh, he's not playing. Oh, geez. Okay, that's brutal. Yeah, that's gonna be a bad night for me in NBA. All right, that enough about NBA. I'm a little bit rattled right now because that's just all my entry
Well,
fees
that's
out.
really good time to start a cage match then.
Really good time
This is
to
perfect
start
for
the
me.
cage match. This will give Jake a little bit of a chance tonight. A little bit of a chance. Before we get into the drafting, as I said at the beginning, we are playing for charities. Of course, none of us got the win last week. It was Johnny Proctor got the win for Toys for Tots. That was back in Christmas time. Johnny Proctor played for Toys for Tots, got the win against us. So congrats to Proctor. Congrats to Toys for Tots. Jake, you and I are going to be the same charities that we were last time out. For you, that is Beloved Asheville. Do you want to say a couple sentences about Beloved Asheville?
Yeah, great organization, helping the wonderful city of Asheville recover from the hurricane, which is obviously super, super devastating over there. And I will say that since I have been trying to win $100 for Beloved Asheville for about 2 months now, if I don't win this week, I will personally donate $200 to Beloved Asheville. So we'll get some money that way, no matter how things play out this week.
All right, what a guy! I of course I've already won. No, I have not won at all for Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid. I did some work for Mid-Minnesota Legal Aid while I was in law school one summer. They do great work helping people who need legal help but can't afford a lawyer. So then you can get help for free from legal aid. So I wanted to support the branch of legal aid that I have done work for previously. Really good people doing really good work. Scott, you are going back to the Brothers of Patterson, New Jersey. And I believe you have a personal connection to this organization. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's like a big brother, little brother program in Patterson, New Jersey. One of my former coworkers runs it, and he's a really good guy. So happy to help out and donate to a good cause.
Great. And then, before we get into this week's cage match, we should talk a little bit about what happened last week. And of course, Jake, you as is tradition, third place, you get to go first to talk about your lineup. How do you feel about the draft that you pulled out last week and how things went for you?
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good about the draft. I ended up with, my 3 favorite running backs. If I remember correctly, I actually had, I think, one of my biggest projection edges on the week overall in this specific contest. Got really strong value with Strange. Coker was okay. Of course, when I draft Devontae Adams, only 19.8 DraftKings fantasy points. When Neil drafts Devontae Adams, 45 every time. Michael Penix was on the winning Millie Maker team that week, if I remember correctly, but did only put together, 7 fantasy points, although some of the film guys said they were impressed with how he played. So unfortunately doesn't count towards DraftKings scoring, but yeah, feel pretty good about this team. When the show wrapped up, I was like, this is the best team I've drafted all year. I'm a lock for a win. And then of course things played out like that.
You actually, you came surprisingly close to me. So really kudos to you for coming within 3 points of beating me and getting second place. Like that's really impressive relative to the rest of the year, Jake. So well done there.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I mega stacked the Bears that week. It actually went okay. I actually went pretty well. The Bears mega stack went pretty well. Should have left off DeAndre Swift clearly. Swift and Ford actually didn't end up projecting all that well on that slate. I thought they were going to project better than they did. Ford worked out pretty well. Swift did not. Jacoby Myers only 6 fantasy points against the Jaguars. That was just brutal for me. Had the lead late on Johnny. Thought Jacoby Myers would be able to outperform his guys. That was not the case. Trey McBride only 5 fantasy points against Carolina. That was one of my biggest stands on the week. That one didn't work out. Bears defense, of course, did not stop Detroit in the way that I hoped that they would be able to at least keep it competitive. Overall, really, I did a great job. It was the players who let me down. That's how I feel about it. Scott, as the guest, you get to review our last guest. I know you are familiar with John Proctor. You haven't had a chance to look at his team yet. Looking at it now, how do you feel Johnny did in this draft?
Yeah, you did pretty well. Gibbs, I'm guessing, was the 101 that week. BTJ definitely should have been up there. Richardson, that game went nuclear, should have had an even bigger day, but Jonathan Taylor was the guy who broke the slate. Nice little correlation with BTJ and Ridley on the same lineup. I had a lot of that week. Tyrone Tracy, Hunter Henry, interesting. Jennings, I was high on that week. Obviously didn't do much, but yeah, I think you guys all did well. What was the cash line that week?
No idea. No, I mean, this is 2 weeks ago at this point.
Fair.
Who remembers anything from that week? But yeah, let's just assume that we all cashed. We all did well enough. Let's move on to this week though. And Scott, of course, as the guest, you have the honor of choosing which draft spot you want.
Yeah, I'm going to go first.
Okay, Scott's going first. Jake, do you remember which of us goes second this week? I believe you went second last time, but I don't remember for sure.
I think I did, but I really don't remember.
So Johnny went Gibbs. I think you then went Connor, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, I feel like I would have taken a running back unless.
Yeah, and then I went with Moore. Maybe I went with Moore and Allen.
Yeah,
I think that you went second that week.
Probably.
Okay,
right.
so then I will go second this year. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me because it's a gross slate. I don't feel that great about anybody, but I'll go second here. Jake will go third. Scott, you went right for that first pick. Do you know who you want with it?
Oh yeah, and Jake could guess who it is.
Yeah,
but he'd be wrong. He'd be wrong.
Oh,
it's Josh Dobbs.
Oh wow. Okay.
Starting quarterback for the 49ers. That's been confirmed. Kyle Shanahan, a god, QB guru, whisperer. Josh Dobbs himself was like, I don't know, one of the most valuable quarterbacks in fantasy. He went nuclear in a game he didn't start, and he just joined the team like, I don't know, a day and a half prior. Didn't know the playbook. Has some mobility, really smart guy. I think, what is he, like an aerospace engineer or something? 4K, screaming value. Lock that in.
I didn't see it coming, but I like it. I like that call. Former Minnesota Vikings legend, Josh Dobbs.
Oh, it's a revenge game too, right?
I mean, is everything a revenge game? Yeah, it is.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a strong first pick. Not who either of us suspected. So now we both have to decide, do we want to let Scott get his guy? Jake. Oh no, I go next. Sorry. All right. Let me take a look real quick. I mean, I think I'm just gonna go with the next most obvious player. Michael Carter, starting running back for the Arizona Cardinals. Lock it in for me.
Tough start for Jake, I gotta say.
This is not good. I was really hoping Neil would forget and give me the second pick this week.
No such
luck.
Luck.
Ideal. Massive. I mean, things are going to change a lot, I'd imagine, as we get later into the week, but massive projection drop off right now in terms of raw value between Carter and the next best running back and Dobbs and the next best quarterback, which is certainly tough.
It's probably less so at the quarterback position than Carter.
Yeah, that is true. Tight end has a pretty big drop off too, so I'll go with Chig Okonkwo. Volume has been really, really strong as of late. Quarterback change has been fantastic for him. After that, there should be plenty of value on the board, so I think it makes sense to just pay up for some studs. Give me Bijan. Bijan's usage last week was fantastic. Now he gets to play Carolina as a massive favorite. Really, really good spot. Arguably the best week all year to play Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, that's against Carolina. Can't do much better than that. Have they been better defensively in recent weeks? I guess they just gave up a ton to the Bucks. So no, kind of felt like there are a couple like Arizona was a big letdown against them, but I guess they're just a bad offense. Maybe, I don't know. But that was disappointing. All right, so it is back to me, and I am going to think about this for a second. I have some thoughts about what I might want to do here, but just want to think about it for a second here. All right. Interesting. Some interesting options here. Yeah. I think I'm going to go with, leverage Jake a little bit here and go with Drake London, 6,500 against Carolina. Don't love the Penix quarterbacking, has not been that awesome so far for fantasy purposes, but I think at 6,500 against Carolina, Drake London is just a good value. 160 yards last week, 7 catches. I'd take that. I'd take that again. So yeah, I'll take some Drake London here and send it back to Scott.
All right, for the brand, got to go with my guy. You see him behind me, Justin Ross. I waited, I don't know, 19 years for this moment.
19 years.
When did
Since
he go
Justin
off
Ross
that year
was like
as
5
a
years
freshman? It's just, this is one of my guys, always been one of my guys. Neil knows the bid. I don't know how many BBM teams I made him draft Justin Ross on it. And so Carson Wentz at quarterback, number of starters not playing. Although DeAndre Hopkins he has some like performance bonuses. He could get it. Felt a little weak. Week 18 last year, we all remember, who could forget, Mecole Hardman had 11 targets. Maybe that's Justin Ross. Maybe I'm finally right. I didn't take him first overall because I feel like God never wants me to make money on my guys. Marvin Mims only goes off on showdown slates. But according to the projections, top wide receiver values, BTJ, number 2, Justin Ross. So I'm going Ross, and then I'm going BTJ, who's having one of the best rookie seasons ever. Only been better since Mac Jones took over. There was that like 2-week period where he like had a brutal chest injury. He was on the injury report, seriously hobbled every single day in practice. You remove just those 2 games, he'd rank top 5 in yards per route run. He would be having the 3rd best rookie wide receiver season since 1985, behind only Randy Moss and OBJ. So I feel good about this. Love those guys. Love my wide receivers. And it's back to you, Neil.
It is. It is back to me. Who do I love? Let's see. I feel like there's so much value on the slate, so I'm like trying to like pin down some like pay up options that I like, and it's gross. This is a gross slate. You know what? So Mike Evans needs like 80. How many yards does Mike Evans needs to reach 1,000?
It's 85, if I remember correctly.
So he's like guaranteed to get 85 yards here. So I'm just going to IKB it. I think I'm going to go with Mike Evans. I'm going to pay up. There is 0 chance, unless he gets hurt during the game, there's 0 chance that Mike Evans does not get to at least 85 yards, probably gets a touchdown. There's nothing that the Saints can do about it. So yeah, sign me up for 8,000, really expensive Mike Evans. I'm going to pay up here. Jake, how do you feel about my Mike Evans pick first, and then who are you taking?
I feel pretty good about your Mike Evans pick. I mean, this is a must-win spot for Tampa Bay, and they're obviously incentivized to give Mike Evans as many targets as he can handle here. So yeah, 85 yards does feel like a lock. And I mean, he got 2 goal line fades last week, so you might get a couple touchdowns on top of it. Yeah,
that was not the answer. I was trying to bait Jake into like shitting on my pick, and then I normally
am
get a little clip there for it. And
not
so
not
kind
this
of
time.
disappointing.
I actually think that was pretty solid, unfortunately. All right, so I have back-to-back, right?
You do.
Okay, I'm gonna go value, and then we'll figure the rest out. I'm gonna go with Amir Abdullah and Jordan Whittington.
Amir Abdullah and Jordan Whittington.
Yeah.
Whittington over Tutu Atwell, who's higher in our projections.
I think so. My stance is that I'd be a little bit more worried about them pulling Tutu because he is actually involved in the regular offense. Whittington, like, what are you even risking by playing this guy? Unless someone goes down, he's not going to see the field in the playoffs. So I think he probably gets the best usage of these Rams receivers. Granted, it is a bit of a guessing game. Abdullah, 20 carries last week, his most in any game since 2017. Feels like kind of the Raiders' only answer at the running back position.
So You know why I think that was a sharp pick? I think that was an unintentionally. I think that was a sharp pick for reasons that Jake didn't mean. There's
yeah?
so much chaos on this slate. If Amir Abdullah, when he gets ruled out, I mean he's questionable right now. Didn't practice today. If he gets ruled out, you're going to be able to. I'm just going to go all questionable players from now on, and then just like draft the nuts once we know the nuts. I mean, right?
Oh, are you allowed to swap if a guy's out?
Yeah, only if they're out.
Yeah,
Only
Right.
if they're out.
We
you can
talked
swap.
about this as like a potential loophole when I was on in week 1 or week 2.
This now it's a loophole. It has not really been a
on it.
loophole until
Okay.
week 18. Now suddenly it's like, yeah, like somebody is going to probably be a fantastic play that we don't know about right now.
I mean, I think Abdullah's going to play. He finished the game last week, right? I guess they have no reason to push him, but yeah. Either way,
I mean,
great.
he's probably good. Great.
This isn't outside the box, but it's got me thinking outside the box. What about a Jimmy G double with Tutu and Whittington? Didn't they those two combine for like 50 targets their last 2 games without Puka and Cup? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. I also think like pairing Corum with Jimmy G is pretty interesting because Stafford has the lowest running back target rate of any quarterback, like right there with Lamar Jackson. Garoppolo should lead to more running back targets. I mean, there can't be any less basically in this offense.
What are the motivations in that game for the Rams?
So if Tampa Bay wins, the Rams would need to win to get, I believe, the 3 seed instead of the 4 seed, right? Because they're going to win the division. But McVay already said he's not really planning on playing his starters no matter what. So I don't think they really care who they play in the first round. They just want to be healthy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're guaranteed a home playoff game as either the number 3 seed or the number 4 seed. They clinched the NFC West. Graham Barfield's going to have a great article breaking down like everything you need to know, which teams are playing, which teams aren't, which teams are benching starters, all that.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Be on the lookout for that, fantasypoints.com.
All right. It is back to me. And since he's being talked about, I feel like if I want him, I need to take Blake Corum right now. I think I'm expecting a pretty big workload for Blake Corum in this game. And he's only 5,600. So I think he looks like a pretty strong value to me. I'm going to lean in there and go with the $5,600 Blake Corum.
I have one, Carlos, to answer that comment. I have a singular win, as many as Scott Barrett. Very proud about that.
Who was the guest that week? Who allowed that to happen? That's right.
That is,
the guest that week? I don't remember.
Good question. Was it Jacob Sanderson? Was that his week?
Oh, maybe it might have been.
Yeah,
it's around then.
I feel like it might have been with Jacob on. Yeah. I mean, it's on me too. Like I have to take some responsibility for letting Jake win. Overall, just very disappointing performance by me and the guests that week to allow Jake that victory. But Scott, you and I are not going to allow Jake to win this week. Now it's back to you. Yeah, I mean, we are at least colluding karmically. Like we both want you to not win, but I don't think we're really doing that much to collude here. All right. Scott, do you know who you want with your next 2 picks?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lad McConkey. I just love him. I just think he's awesome. I was a big fan of him coming out. He's elite by just about every per route, per target stat. Target volume hasn't always been there, but he had double-digit targets for just the second time all season last week. He went ham in a very lopsided win for the Chargers. This is a little murky. I kind of just picked him just because our projections are really high on him, but I know Graham's going to say tomorrow it's a little uncertain if the starters will play and for how long. I forget the exact details, but I don't know. It's Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh kind of the vibe. All right, here it is. If the Steelers lose and the Chargers win, the Chargers will get the number 5 seed and go to Houston. I don't know. It's Harbaugh. I just feel like he's not going to rest his guys. That's my vibe.
Yeah.
Do you see that projection maybe changing later in the week, Jake?
On McConkey, I mean, potentially. We'll see. It's hard to know. I don't think anyone really knows what the Chargers are going to do at this point.
So maybe that wasn't a great pick, but whatever. Projections really like him right now. And then I will go with Jonathan Taylor, running back. Pretty strong matchup, good game script. Don't really care who the quarterback is. I think the offense flows through him. So gonna go with JT and McConkey.
Are you worried at all there that since the Colts don't have anything to play for anymore, they just won't give Taylor a full workload?
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. I was kind of beating myself up last week for I was really high on Mason Rudolph. I kind of got off of it but I was about to have a lot of money on him. And it's like, well, that's a team that's in play for the 101. Colts aren't that bad. They just don't have anything to play for. I don't know. This is what happens in week 18, Jake. Maybe this screws me. Maybe it doesn't. We'll see.
Hard to say. 5150 left per pick for Scott. Team looking good. It is back to me. I have 50-40 left per pick with 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I was thinking about taking Ladd, so that was disappointing to lose that opportunity. I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, I guess I'll go with Tutu, build on to that stack a little bit. 3,800. Oof, you suggested it earlier, Scott.
No,
you suggested
I'm just thinking about Jake watching his, Bijan while London gets all the touchdowns and Tutu goes off and Whittington doesn't do anything.
Why are you doing this to me, man? We got to think more positively for my team.
Yeah.
Neil doesn't.
You're cursed, Jake. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, that's the thing. We just know that you're cursed, so we know that this is going to happen.
No disrespect to you. Like you're playing well. It's just,
is there like a DFS exorcism we could do to get these bad picks away from me?
I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, there is, but I don't want to tell you about it. I don't want to.
Well, once you win, you're going to go on like a long reign. It's going to be incredible.
Okay. All right. Well,
that might not be till 2026. Oh, wait, it is a new year.
That's a great point. We will. We can wrap up with a great win here and then go undefeated in 2025.
Wow.
That is bold prediction.
New year, new me.
Exactly. So I have 2 picks here. I was thinking I'd capture value and pay up, but the pay up options actually aren't that great this week, which makes it a little tricky. I think Bucky Irving is going to be a strong pick regardless, though. Could obviously nitpick the usage, and he is a little beat up right now, but against the Saints, this should be pretty strong matchup for a guy who has just absolutely been dominating on the ground. I mean, he looks incredible as a runner.
Bell cow-ish last week. Buccaneers need to win this game. He's awesome.
Yeah.
And the Saints suck, dude. Like they're so dead. Oh my God.
Yeah. It should just be like a layup for Bucky in terms of usage. I think the biggest nitpick would be if the game's over in the second quarter, you could have a situation kind of like last week where he barely played. I don't think he played at all really in the fourth quarter because that game was such a blowout. Pretty tricky for this next pick. I think, this Rams game is one of the better game environments, so I think I'm going to lean into JSN. I'm kind of worried. I'm a little worried I leaned a bit too much into value early on because, like I said, the pay-up options aren't super compelling this week. So that may have been a bit of a building mistake.
It's not like you have a ton of, you have 5166 left per player with, I guess you have the defense, but also quarterback. So you're not in a bad spot there. All right. And then it is back to me with 5350 left per player. Do I want any tight ends? I don't think there are any. Wait, is Bowers going to get a full workload this week? Doesn't project
Antonio
super well.
Pierce seems like the kind of coach who would just make all his guys play if they can go.
Yeah, no, I think that is accurate. So I could pay up. Yeah, I think I'll just do it. I think I'll just pay up for Brock Bowers and then see what I can make work later. All right. Scott, back to you. 5150 left per player. Now you get your 6th and 7th picks.
I'm gonna go with Josh Jacobs. They're gonna be full go, 10-point favorites. Dude's been on a sick heater. Our projections don't like Taylor. Our projections don't like Josh Jacobs. I like them a lot from a GPP perspective. When I was playing around, the Opto kept trying to give me like Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle and Zach Charbonnet. I didn't look as deeply into them as I probably should have, but yeah, I like the upside with Taylor and Josh Jacobs. And my next pick will be what's the status on Tony Pollard? Is he healthy? Do I want one of these other running
I mean,
backs?
he missed last week, so how healthy do you think he is?
Yeah,
Limited
sure.
in practice today.
So why do the projections really like him? I'm just gonna go with oh boy. I'm gonna go with Giants defense against Eagles backups, and hopefully this just buys me more time to make a good decision.
Interesting. We have Tyjae Spears already out with a concussion. Tony Pollard 50-50 is like, is Julius Chestnut? Is he next up there? I don't know.
Oh,
Wait,
man.
Spears is out? Spears is confirmed out?
Yeah, he got
Spears
a
is out.
concussion. He was on my main event team. He wore a Guardian cap and still got concussed. I mean, you can't run worse than that. Insane.
Oof.
He was 50% owned, though. So, you know, not
That's
like
true.
gaining much of an edge by him staying in, but still,
Right.
it was very close.
All right, so then it is back to me, and I could play Julius. I think it would be Julius Chestnut. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I don't know that I want it anyway. Chestnut could be a part of a running back committee along with Joshua Kelly and practice squad member Jabari Small. I'm not feeling a lot of confidence here.
That is tough.
That is really tough. I need to clear this out. All right. So at quarterback,
Pollard has incentives to reach. Is that right?
That is right.
I believe he's about 90 yards away from like a $250,000 incentive, if I remember correctly. But I mean, people were saying like, oh, he's going to play last week because of the incentives, and he just couldn't go.
Yeah. Could complete a stack, man. AOC. I'll just do it. I'm just gonna. I don't love that they're playing against the Chargers, and I think you're right that the Chargers are going to play all out. But he's cheap. I already have his stacking partner. Yeah. Watch him get benched in the second quarter. I think that has actually happened to me. I mean, Jake talks about his bad luck all the time.
Come on.
No one runs worse than Neil.
I think both of our quarterbacks got benched that week, didn't they? Because I had Daniel Jones and you had AOC or something like that, and they both got benched.
That was the week that Jake won. Is all I needed was my quarterback to outscore his quarterback, who put up like 5.1 fantasy points, and he couldn't do it. And so that was a brutal week for us. All right, incentives for Tony Pollard. All right. Back to Jake for back-to-back picks. 51-66 left per player with a quarterback, a wide receiver, and defense left to go.
Yeah, I still have a decent bit of salary here. And there's just a ton of value on the board at wide receiver. So I think it makes sense to pay up at quarterback for me. I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels. Washington has pretty straightforward motivation here. Already has clinched a playoff berth with a win. They'll be the number 6 seed in the NFC. Slightly easier path compared to the 7 seed. So obviously it makes sense for them to want to win. Dallas, complete disaster, especially on defense. And, you know, maybe the offense could push them a little bit and make Jaden Daniels have to score some more fantasy points. But either way, probably the best path for me to projection max here. At wide receiver, could go defense too. Oh man, this is tricky. Who is Nico Remigio, and why is he like a top 20 value at wide receiver?
Another Chiefs receiver, right?
Oh, okay. Kendrick Bourne. Geez, none of these are great. You know what? I'll go with Is there like a decent expensive D? Okay, there is. I think I'll end up leaving a little bit on the table if I do this, but that's okay. I'll go with Mac Hollins. He doesn't wear shoes, and I remember Chris was talking about this in our projections chat. They just really don't have anyone else, so it doesn't seem like Buffalo can fully bench Mac Hollins here, even though they like him. So yeah, should be a decent Mac Hollins game against New England here, and then that frees up 4K for my defense.
Thank you for including the tidbit that he doesn't wear shoes.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. You got to factor that into your simulations and your DFS models.
Yeah, he's a big grounding advocate. Lower inflammation, lower injury risk. Great pick.
Thank you.
That is player after Scott's heart. The grounding, being a big proponent of grounding and not wearing shoes.
He also drinks his own urine.
Just like Scott. So many similarities between these two.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no.
That's why I'm so healthy.
Right. It's all the urine drinking for Scott. All right. So I guess I could go with the defense and then figure out my flex later. And I'm just going to rely on fantasy points projections at defense. Houston looks like a pretty strong option here. They are 2,800. All right, so if I do that, I'm just going to play around for a second here. Throw in $2,800 Texans. Then I'd have 6,900 left over, and wouldn't be able to get Ladd McConkey. Sad, but I think I see some other.
Ladd McConkey has already been drafted. Neil.
I know. No, that's what I said. I said I wouldn't be able to draft him. Okay. That's exactly what I said. Because I have the salary to do it, but I wouldn't be able to. Screw you guys. But instead of doing that, I am going to take Terry McLaurin against Dallas in a game that they would like to win. He's 6,800, and then I can think about whether I want to take the Texans defense or another pay up option. So I'm going McLaurin for my flex. Book it. Back to Scott for your final two picks. You have 50-50 left per player. Who do you want here?
There is such a disgusting edge to going first. I'm surprised the guests haven't won more frequently than they have. I'll go Pollard, incentives, all that, and Juwan Johnson because he fits. And they have no one else. And he had 10 targets last week.
True.
I have 300 left over in salary. Do I get anything for that? Like a special prize?
It makes it a little bit easier for you to pivot later, because you can only do 1v1 pivots with your players who are out. Obviously, if you have two players out, you can do 2v2. But I
have four questionable guys.
Yeah, you're in a good spot to take advantage of the news. He did. He game theoried us. All right. Well done, Scott.
Well, make sure you put the right guy in the flex. Do we have that?
You enter your own lineup, Scott. Yeah, you can put your own player in the flex. Yeah.
I have all 1 p.m. guys actually.
Do you really?
For running back, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with the Texans here. I have 0 questionable players, so I did poorly on the game theory front, at least based on the game theory that I'm a proponent of, which is taking questionable players and then taking advantage of the late projection shifts. So I screwed up by my own ideas here. I screwed up, but left 100 on the table. I'm okay with it. And then Jake, you have just your defense left, and you have 4,000 to spend. Do you know who you want here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bucs defense. I think, pretty easy pick there. Get a little bit of correlation with Bucky Irving. New Orleans offense, just a total disaster right now. Do you guys want to know who had the highest projected team according to our current fantasy points?
Oh, boy. You?
Yes, it was me yet again. A 142.3 projection. Neil is at a 137.8 projection. Scott at a 137.9 projection.
Ooh.
Wow, that's tight. It is tight.
It always is. It always is. But the final scores generally are not.
Yeah. Congrats on winning.
Yeah, your theoretical projection.
Yeah. Thank you.
I did like Scott threw out the idea last week, or last time we did this show. Scott said he wanted to come on and do it based on expected fantasy points rather than actual fantasy points, which I declined that idea. I don't think that would be that
would give me and Jake a disgusting edge.
It would.
I do think that would be pretty fun. I will say, Scott, would we just go with normal scores for quarterback and defense? Would that be the plan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think
we're
that
not
could be
doing it
fun.
that way. We're doing
You could
actual fantasy
also
points.
we could also keep track, especially for next year. This could be a fun idea. We keep track of, obviously the actual scores and then the XFP scores to see who would have won in a hypothetical world where football and fantasy football is just.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting idea, and I kind of hate it. All right, so we you use it like plane versus the median. Tom says, yeah.
So in this world, Saquon would have been a bad BBM pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's true. I mean, I would love if BBM was based on expected fantasy points.
Man, that would be
Because
great.
Joshua Palmer, my guy had so many opportunities and he just sucked. So didn't work out. But so many expected fantasy points. Actually, I haven't looked if that's true. Okay. We're done with the draft. So final draft of the year, Jake. You leave 400 on the table. You've got a couple questionable guys. How are you feeling about how your team came together here?
Yeah, I feel great about this team. Obviously, give myself a ton of late swap flexibility here. Abdullah gets ruled out. I can obviously just get to the stone nuts with whatever sort of late week news that we have. He's also in a 4 p.m. game, so man, I mean, the late swap edge that I have this week is really just incredible. I mean, I can't see anything other than a dominant victory on the horizon.
Oh, whoa. I gotta clarify a rule here. You cannot swap him out until he is ruled out, though.
I'm aware. I'm not trying to pull anything.
So I think you'd rather have him on the early slate, so you have more players to swap to potentially. Like get that
That's
news.
true. They do spread these games out. Like they do a good job of that in the week 18 slate. So I believe it's 8 early and then 5 late. So you're not, it's not like last week where we only had 2 in the late window and you were very, very limited with your swap options.
That is true. All right. On to my team. I'm reading chat about the Tony Pollard incentives. Yeah, so it looks like Titans head coach Brian Callen on if Tony Pollard can play as he's near some financial incentives. I assume he's going to throw another quote in there for us, but all right, I'm going to continue. Look at my team. I don't love my stack, so I'll admit that right away. Aiden O'Connell, Brock Bowers against a tough Chargers defense. Not sure if that was the right way to go. I think that I like the Bowers part of it. He just gets fed so much that I'm not as concerned about Bowers specifically. But the Aiden O'Connell part, kind of maybe I should have gone somewhere else, but just didn't love the other option. So I'm okay with it. Michael Carter, that was obviously a super sharp pick and gonna make my team take us to the top. Blake Corum, same thing. Like I feel great about that. Drake London against Carolina, awesome. Mike Evans guaranteed to get at least 85 yards. He's probably gonna get over 100, couple touchdowns. Tutu Atwell, 3,800, good enough price tag. Terry McLaurin in a must-win game. I mean, man, he let us down last week. I think he's going to come back with a vengeance this week, score a few touchdowns. So yes, I think everything looks good on this team. Texans defense projects well point per dollar. I do regret that I did not game theory you guys and take all of the questionable guys. You guys beat me on that front with all of your questionable guys. I hope your guys just end up playing.
Well, there's still time for your guys to end up questionable, Neil.
That is true. There's plenty of time left in this week. I feel okay about it.
I have the quote on Pollard incentives. If you guys
want to read let's hear it.
Read that off before Scott reviews his team. This is head coach Brian Callahan. I try to give guys chances to hit their incentives if it's possible. I'll never force it or go out of my way to do it. A guy like Tony Pollard has earned a right. If he wants to go out and hit those markers, then I'll do my best to put him in that position. But I can't make any promises. You can never say you're absolutely going to do it. You just try to be aware of it and help where you can, especially if they've earned it and they're close to being able to get it. So sounds like, he'll give him the chance if he can actually play. But, if he's truly beat up, they probably won't push him.
Yeah, I was talking to Johnny about incentives. Like, it's tough to, there's some tea leaf reading there. It's a little bit of art and science. And he was saying, if a guy is close enough and like the team we know is cheap, like they'll definitely do that. But like a lot of like the more respectable teams just kind of give their guys the incentive and you don't have to play this week.
I think the biggest incentive edge that I've found this week is on J.K. Dobbins, who in his contract only has $50,000 guaranteed. And it's pretty close to, if I remember correctly, about $350K of incentives. Obviously, given his injury history, just wasn't able to secure a very strong contract. So I would imagine those incentives mean a lot for him. And he's really the only productive running back that they have. It's hard to see them feeding anyone else regardless. So you tack on the incentives and, I'd imagine he's going to make for a pretty solid play this week.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. Why did we not draft J.K. Dobbins? I guess then is the question we
I
come back
was
to.
thinking about it. There were some other plays that popped. But yeah, he was certainly on my radar. Not projecting particularly well right now, but again, projections are going to change a lot from now until Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I guess you guys might have the opportunity to swap onto J.K. Dobbins later in the week. Scott, you have 4 questionable players. You leave 300 on the table. Was that intentional? Were you trying to take players to give yourself some late swap edge, or did that just come together that way?
I thought that was the game. Whoever had the most questionable players wins.
Yeah, sure enough. Well, you actually, what did Jake have? I think it was close between you two. No, he only had 2. You have 4. So congrats on winning the questionable tag game. How about for the DFS tournament? How do you feel about it in this 3-man contest? How do you feel?
I feel really good. I like the Dobbs pick. It was between him and Carter. Ross, top value according to us. BTJ top value. McConkey way up there. Where it went off the rails was Taylor and Jacobs. I could see that being a reason why projections liked Jake's team more. It's always fun for me to go up against Chris, but he as Jake knows, he tends to win that battle. But yeah, I like it. I like the upside here. I didn't want to kind of sift through like murky running backs and thought they had good upside, and love my wide receivers, and tight end is solid so long as he plays. So yeah, I'm going to win. I'm going to win by like 100. This is also going to win the Millie, and I'm the best.
All right, then I'm gonna draft this team for us on Outside the Box, so that I get part of that millie when this ships.
Yeah, dupe me, bro.
Yeah, I will dupe you. All right. Well, it is January 1st. We want to talk about New Year's resolutions. What are you guys excited about in the new year? Or do you want to tell people where they can find you and your work?
You know what I'm excited about, Neil?
Is this massacre?
Here in about 3 months, Neil, you and me will be reunited for UFL season. Right. That will be a ton of fun. I thought we absolutely crushed it last year, and I'm really excited. I love spring football deep in my heart. And yeah, it's a ton of fun to do the show and do the content. So I really can't wait. My New Year's resolution is to win every UFL GPP and for Neil to finish second.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Let me pitch this, because I feel like most of our viewers are like, yeah, I don't care about spring football or players I've never heard of. Jake is the GOAT at spring. No one cares about spring football. No one knows more. No one is better at the game than Jake. He is like if Adam Schefter, Evan Silva, Ian Rappaport, we're all like the same person for the sport of spring football. And he does a show with Neil, and it's absolutely fantastic. So if you want to subscribe, go over to fantasypoints.com, $100 for the spring football package. Really good chance you just immediately make your money back and then continue to profit, or get an all-in subscription. Highly recommend. Jake, that wide receiver who scored a touchdown for the Bills last week, was he a spring football player? Because that was the first time in like
I'd never
years,
heard of that guy.
A wide receiver I never heard of scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I think the only spring football receiver who's like seeing usage right now, other than Kevontae Turpin, who's from a few seasons ago, is Kevin Austin, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm missing somebody. I don't believe the Bills have anyone from spring football at wide receiver, or at any skill.
Yeah, I can't think of any of like the stars that have been playing. Like Hakeem Butler is not really getting any run anywhere.
No.
There's some that were like signed to teams, but they just didn't get there.
Yeah, Chuck Cheese throws out UFL best ball. Man,
that would be fun. That would get people
interested.
There's
UFL best ball. Yeah, that would be incredible. I'll be the first to write an article about UFL best ball. Underdog, please, I'm begging. I'll pay double rake. I'll pay twice the rake to play UFL best ball.
Drafters, this is your time to find something that like Underdog already took the points format from you, but UFL, you could be the only platform out there doing UFL best ball.
Oh yeah,
that'd be fun. Jake, how about you? What else do you have? I mean, I guess you already said we're doing UFL coming up. Anything else this week?
I'll be helping Scott Barrett out with his weekly slate breakdown, and then you can find me on Cashing Points every Friday at 7 p.m. Should be me, Graham Barfield, and Hilo. I'm sure we'll have a lot to cover given all the motivation angles, injury angles, incentive angles this week. Should be a fun show. And then after that, I will be drafting some Week 18 Battle Royale teams with Ryan Heath on the Underdog Drafter Party. I'd imagine, I feel like me and Ryan have found some really strong edges all season, and I'd imagine the Week 18 Battle Royale edges are extreme, especially in some of those 6-man drafts. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. You can catch me over at the Fantasy Points YouTube channel, and yeah, just be helping Scott out with his writing outside of those shows.
Very nice, very nice. Scott, how about you? Where can people find you? Where can they find your work this week?
Fantasypoints.com. I'm expecting Jake to really shine with this. Maybe do some of the heavy lifting. It's a tough week. We got Ryan Heath helping out as well this week, and then I'll be on Outside the Box with you on Saturday.
Hell yeah. I will also be on Outside the Box with Scott on Saturday.
Wow, look at that. What are the chances?
No Thursday Night Football article this week. There is no Thursday Night Football. So the next content that I'm doing for Fantasy Points will be, there is a Saturday slate. I guess we'll talk about that, but there'll be a Sunday Night Football game. I'm sure I'll do an article for that. I'll do Outside the Box on Saturday with Scott. A lot of fun stuff coming up. Of course, you can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. Jake is at Jake Tribbey. Scott is at Scott Barrett DFB. Stands for Dude Fantasy Bro. If you didn't know that, if that makes it easier for you to remember, that is where you'll be able to find us coming up. You'll also be able to find me at the top of the leaderboard of the DFS cage match on Sunday. It's not public. You won't be able to see. Maybe I'll post the link this week. That's what we haven't done all year. Maybe I'll post the link this week. So if people want to follow along, they can follow along.
Yeah,
this epic battle. Okay. We'll do that. We'll put that out on Twitter for you. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you, Jake, for a great season. I did have a lot of fun doing the show.
Yeah,
and as much as I trolled Jake, he drafted well. I love that I beat Jake even when he had the projection edge most weeks. It was fun though, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was a ton of fun. And honestly, I just felt like it got funnier and funnier the more that I lost. So it might have helped our viewership a little bit. People are like, wow,
maybe
I got to fade this Jake guy's picks. Like, this dude sucks. So I better tune in and see like what his analysis is, so I can do the exact opposite.
Let's see how long this streak can last. When we get to like 30 straight losses, it's people are gonna want to watch history.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, this has been a ton of fun, Neil. I love doing shows with you. You're a really easy guy to talk to and a really sharp analyst, and I loved the sort of dynamic that we had, where I came in moderately well researched most weeks, and you came in not knowing anything about the slate, and we were both very competitive. Granted, one of us did a little better than the other.
Yeah, one of us did. That was a good dynamic. I'm sure you and I will do, even between now and UFL. I hope that you and I do some type of content together, whether it be during the playoffs or best ball, whatever. But we'll talk about that later on. Thank you, Scott, also for coming back to do this show with us one more time for the epic 2-win battle here. And thank you all for hanging out with us throughout the season and tonight. It was a lot of fun. We'll catch you on our various content coming up. Thanks, guys. See you later.
What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.